Hello everybody and welcome to Young Hero Rants, the show in which I rant about whatever aspect of the world is annoying me lately. I am your host, ThatKidDouglas, aka the Young Hero, the internet's loneliest D-list personality. And on this fine Sunday, I have found what is quite possibly the biggest racist on YouTube.
Aquaba, y'all. So I was on the Twitter, at GaziCodes on my Twitter, and on my Snapchat, at GaziCodes on my Snapchat.
Now, I could make a joke about Chris Tucker's character in The Fifth Element, but that would simply be too obvious. And besides, if anything, he looks like the illegitimate love child of Chris Tucker and Kevin Hart. Because not only does he look like them, but if you know anything about Chris Tucker and Kevin Hart, you would both know that they talk really fast like this. But then again, I would rather listen to Chris Tucker and Kevin Hart sodomizing each other than listen to this guy's voice ever again.
And I kept getting all these people like, Gazi, you need to listen to Macklemore's new song, White Privilege Part 2, it's so problematic, blah, blah, blah. So I listened to it. Actually, no, I read it. I just listened to it because I just can't stand the voices of white people trying to rap. It's just like, scratching a chalkboard. Anyway.
So let me see if I can get this straight. People like Eminem, Macklemore, Classified, Action Bronson, Mac Miller, and Machine Gun Kelly can't rap because they're white. White rappers can't rap. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense.
What I did see in his video, and I was like, oh, look at you, Macklemore, acting like a white nationalist male Saxon, using voices of African people to legitimize, your political stance of that song.
So Macklemore can't talk about black people and black issues because he's white, but you can talk about white people and white issues because you're black. Yeah, because that totally makes sense. That isn't biased and racist at all. No, sirree, you're the smart one here.
He couldn't just come out by himself. He had to get African people to be like, come on, y'all, support what I'm saying. So I'm going to do the same thing, Macklemore. I'm going to do the same thing. And here is Jesse. Come on, Jesse. Uhuru.
You bring out a white guy to legitimize and justify the perceived racism by Macklemore? And furthermore, look at this guy's facial expressions. You can tell how little he wants to do this. I feel sorry for him. I really do. I think he knows what he's being parroted to say is absolute bullshit, but he can't speak out about it because he's committed to this narrative. But you can tell how little he wants to do this. I wonder how much he got paid, because I can't see any respectable human being sinking to a level this low unless they were being paid. I'm just saying.
This is a male Saxon that is going to legitimize what I'm saying. Since Macklemore can do it, I'm going to do it, okay? It's called Black Power in Whiteface.
You're countering perceived racism with actual racism. Oh dear God, I weep for the future of humanity.
Alright, Jesse, read one of the lyrics. Oh wait, y'all don't even know who this man is. Y'all don't even know who this KB is. Let me introduce you who he is. He is the president of
Uhuru Solidarity Movement.
And what is that?
The organization of white people under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party.
Under the what?
Leadership of the African People's Socialist Party.
Under the what?
Under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party.
If you didn't get that long-winded and completely unneeded explanation, Uhuru is basically a movement to enslave white people in the same way black people were enslaved in the 1800s. And what I don't understand is that how you're trying to position this as a progressive movement, yet you're regressing to a dark period in human history where people were treated worse than animals. People were treated like they were essentially nothing. But it's okay. It's totally okay to regress to those times of slavery because you feel like you're owed reparations because of what happened all those years ago, despite the fact that you've never gone through any struggles or hardships in your life, and you lead a pretty privileged lifestyle. And by the way, if you want people to take you seriously, don't move like you're a flexible young thug, because nobody's going to take you seriously when you're doing this. Although, I don't know how you can take somebody that has such abhorrent points of view seriously.
Okay, so now you can read one of these horrible parasite lyrics from this cave beast, Macklemore, from this toilet seat complexion individual.
I love how you try to accuse Macklemore of being a horrible racist, yet you hurl out all of these offensive racial slurs towards him. If this isn't hypocrisy at its finest, I don't know what is.
Okay, here's Macklemore.
Wait.
Yes.
Now.
Here's Macklemore reflecting on driving to a march in Seattle in 2014 after Darren Wilson was not indicted. Is this awkward? Should I even be here marching? Thinking if they can't, how can I breathe? Thinking if they chant, what do I sing? I want to take a stance because we are not free. And then I thought about it, we are not we. Am I on the outside looking in, or am I in the inside looking out? Is it my place to give my 2 cents, or should I stand on the side and shut my mouth? No justice, no peace. Okay, I'm saying that. They're chanting out Black Lives Matter, but I don't say it back. Is it okay for me to say?
Now, I know I mentioned this before, but I have to mention it again because it's becoming increasingly more obvious the longer this video goes on. Just look at the guy's facial expressions. You can tell that he does not want to do this. You can tell that he's dying a little inside every time he is reciting this. He's probably like, I don't get paid enough for this bullshit. I don't get paid enough to express these abhorrent points of view. I just want to get paid my green moolah and then leave. You know, again, you have to feel sorry for him because he's essentially being treated as a slave, being treated by an animal, by this racist piece of shit, because, again, he feels like he's owed something, even though he's a privileged person that has never gone through any hardships in his life. Oh, man, and that's not the worst of it. This video keeps on getting worse the longer it goes on.
See, this is the problem with you Neanderthal times. Why is this whole thing is like he goes to this march that's about a young African being shot and murdered, and he makes it about him.
You obviously missed the point of the song. He wasn't trying to make it about him. He was feeling conflicted because he felt that the death of Mike Brown was an absolute senseless tragedy that didn't need to happen. But he feels that if he speaks out on it, he's going to get harassed and ridiculed and accused of cultural appropriation by black people. So he's bringing up a feeling of confliction. That's the point he's trying to make. He wasn't trying to make it about him. But yet here you are as a special little snowflake getting offended over something that's so insignificant, something that's not even racist, that I'm surprised that you haven't ended up on a cringe compilation by now.
Like, did he get rubber bullets shot at him? Did he get mace in his motherfucking face? Like, he's making it about him. He goes to the poor African community of Ferguson and is like, let me write a song about my experience. Like, a girl, when I went there, it was so hard for me. Should I chant? Should I chant? Should I say Black Lives Matter back? Should I even be here? Am I on the inside looking out of the out? Let me write this song. Inspirations about me. Speak.
More lyrics?
No, not more lyrics. Break that down.
Well,
tell him why it's wrong. Tell that white man why it's wrong.
Okay.
I hate people like this. People that claim that they're trying to be progressive, people that claim they want equality, people that claim they want to combat racism and improve race relations, and that they're doing it for a cause they love, when in all actuality they're doing it purely for their own self-interest. To say this guy is a cunt would be an insult to footballs everywhere, because I swear to God, this guy has the most puntable face ever, and I honestly just want to kick him through the fucking uprights like Peter Griffin does to Lucy in Family Guy.
Okay, alright, Macklemore. What Macklemore needs to do is, Macklemore, instead of driving to a march and feeling awkward about whether or not he should be chanting Black Lives Matter, Macklemore, like all white people, needs to take responsibility for the fact that we benefit from the oppression of African people.
What? How in the hell are we benefiting off of the oppression of African people? Seriously, there's more opportunities for minorities now than ever before. We're not being segregated, we're not being oppressed, and there certainly aren't any struggles or hardships, at least for the most part. We live in a pretty tolerant and progressive society these days. And while yes, it's awful what happened in the 1800s, and I pray to God every single day that we don't have to go back to those times, saying that we're benefiting from the oppression of those poor African people in 2016 of all years is not only incredibly misleading, but it's also insanely idiotic. And Macklemore and any white person, and a matter of fact, it's not just white people, but people of any race, any ethnicity, do not have to take responsibility for the fact that we benefit off of the oppression of African people, because we do not benefit from the oppression of African people anymore, because nobody's being fucking oppressed. Oh God, this video just gets stupider and stupider the more it goes along. Fuck me.
we benefit from the police murders of African people. We benefit from the mass imprisonment of African people. And Macklemore benefits with a net worth of $18 million. Macklemore, at the very least. Macklemore is one of the highest paid rappers in the business. He won a Grammy. He is on the top when it comes to the rap industry. And it's not enough to just go to a protest and, regardless of how awkward you feel, and chant no justice, no peace, or chant Black Lives Matter.
You know how awkward it is getting shot at? You know how awkward it is every time you see a police officer, your heart be racing? But you feel awkward when you go to a march. Ain't nobody even forced you to go to the march. I'd be forced to see these pigs on the street every time I come to work. It's like 8 of them by the time you pass because we live in the African community. Oh, I'm so angry. Next.
You honestly think that police officers are just shooting at black people all willy-nilly and that they're going on a hunt for black people just because they want to? Seriously? Like, apparently, I must be the stupid one, because apparently all other races and ethnicities have never been shot at by the police. Apparently not, right? It's only black people. Alright, listen here, you privileged cunt. It doesn't matter what fucking color you are. It doesn't matter what race you are. If the police officers think you're a danger, if they feel their lives are at risk, and they think you have a weapon on you, it doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Muslim, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. They're going to shoot and kill you to protect themselves, to save their lives so they can go home to their families. And you honestly also seem to think that black people are the only ones that have been harassed by police officers. So all the other races and ethnicities that at one point in time have been harassed by police officers, apparently that doesn't count. It's only black people. Dear God, seriously, this narrative you're trying to push that only police officers harass black people is insanely idiotic, and it's incredibly biased. It is incredibly biased. And what if a black police officer kills a black man? That's not a problem. You won't say anything about that. However, if a white police officer kills a black man, then all of a sudden now it's a problem. Dear God, you are a ginormous hypocrite, and that's being kind.
Lyric.
So
wait, Jesse.
Yes.
I can feel it.
Okay.
Next lyric.
Then Macklemore decides to bring in some African voices criticizing him, saying, "You probably shouldn't be here. You have white supremacy. Don't fucking come here. You don't give a shit about us. Black Lives Matter. Say it. You should not have done that. Why the fuck would you do that? You always react. Just let it go, man. White racist. It's the Grammys. You've taken the drums and the accent you rapped in, the brand of hip-hop. It's so fascist and backwards. You said publicly, rest in peace, Mike Brown. You speak about equality, but do you really mean it? Are you marching for freedom or when it's convenient?" I think the answer is pretty obvious.
Speak. I can't even.
Well, see, this is what this song right here, which is called White Privilege 2. So this is not even the first time Macklemore has poisoned the airwaves with this garbage. This is basically a whole line that's out there in the white community, in the white left, that focuses on white privilege and racism and white supremacy in a way that is totally self-serving. It has nothing to do with the actual conditions that African people face, or the relationship of what we experience as white people to what African people face. It's basically, it is totally only when it's convenient. Only when you can get your song out there and get more people to buy your records and increase your multi-million-dollar net worth. It has nothing to do with taking responsibility for colonialism. And that's the thing that has to be said. This song talks all about racist beliefs, no justice, no peace. African people are dying in the streets because of a system of colonialism. That's what Chairman Omali Yeshitela says. Our leadership, the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, says African people are dying because they live under colonialism.
Now, while I could call out the irony in these two privileged special snowflakes generalizing an entire race of people for being privileged, that would just simply be too obvious.
And colonialism is when one whole group of people oppresses and dominates a whole other group of people. And they don't do it just through beliefs. We don't do it just through beliefs. We do it with guns, we do it with the police, we do it with the military, we do it with the prison system, the court system, the army, the navy, all of it. The state. That's what's used to maintain this relationship.
So white people are oppressing black people, and your only examples of this were a few white police officers killing black men. If we're going by that logic, then the police are oppressing everybody, because people of every race and ethnicity have been shot and killed by the police. It isn't just black people, dude, like you so want everybody to desperately believe.
So white people can go take an unlearning racism workshop and pay $500 to sit with Tim Wise or some other charlatan.
Bernie Sanders.
Or Bernie Sanders. And by the way, Tim Wise does unlearning racism workshops for cops. So Tim Wise works with the police.
That doesn't stop you from being a colonizer.
Exactly.
You're still a colonizer. You're still a colonizer. You still ain't about giving reparations. You still ain't about giving back my resources and land that you stole from us. That makes you still a colonizer. So you can talk about your white privilege. You can cry about it. You can say you feel, and you feel so bad. You feel so guilty. It's like this, y'all. It's like this. It's like this. It's like this. Hold this phone. So he has a phone, right? I steal his phone, okay? And I'm like, you know what? I feel bad about having his phone. And I say, you know what, Jesse? You know what, toilet seat complexion individual? I feel bad about having your phone, and because this phone really privileges me. I get to send texts to my friends. I get to send emails. I get all these kinds of apps. It really sucks that I have this phone and that I can do all these things. But I ain't giving it back to your ass.
You suggest racism workshops for police officers, and then you say it doesn't matter because they're just colonizers? So which one is it? Can they be redeemed for their perceived racism, or are they just colonizers looking to oppress us poor black people? Seriously, the holes in this video are bigger than Nicki Minaj's ass.
That is what white privilege does. Next lyric.
Macklemore.
That is what this whole ideology of white privilege and white supremacy is. Like, it's like, you still have the motherfucking phone. You still have the phone. But at least you're willing to talk about the apps that you get to use from the phone, even though you know it's stolen.
Macklemore? White supremacy isn't just the white dude in Idaho. White supremacy protects the privilege I hold. White supremacy is the soil, the foundation, the cement, and the flag that flies outside of my home. White supremacy is our country's lineage, designed for us to be indifferent. My success is the product of the same system that let off Darren Wilson. Guilty. We want to dress like, walk like, talk like, dance like, yet we just stand by. We take all we want from black culture, but will we show up for black lives? This is what Macklemore says. Now, Macklemore...
Hold on, Jesse.
Yes?
Okay, you can go now. I'll go.
Okay. Macklemore lives in Seattle, and Seattle is a white city. Seattle is 5% African, and Seattle is a wealthy white city. And so he talks about showing up for black lives. So what that means is, again, this is another very popular concept out there amongst white people who like to fancy ourselves allies or in some kind of solidarity with the black community. And in fact, I actually saw an interview with Macklemore where he used the word solidarity. So that's why we had to make this video. He said this song was about being in solidarity with black people. So he talks about showing up for black lives. What that means is Darren Wilson doesn't get indicted, so you get in your car and you awkwardly drive to a protest and you march with black people. That's what showing up means. And it's not enough for us to show up. It's not enough for us to show up for black lives. Just chant something, go home, go back to our white communities living off of other people's oppression.
You do realize Macklemore's independent, right? If you were signed to a major record label and you made that exact same point, while I would still think it's stupid and idiotic, I would at least somewhat understand where you're coming from. But here's the thing, Macklemore is independent, therefore he retains all of the profits from his record sales, so he has nobody to answer to but himself, so he's not benefiting off of the oppression of black people. Even if he were signed to a major record label, he still wouldn't be benefiting off of the oppression of black people, or anyone for that matter, because black people and people in general are not being oppressed. I don't understand how you don't get this. But then again, I've pointed out your stupidity for the past 19 minutes, so maybe I'm the stupid one here.
In fact, it's kind of a slap in the face to think that we've done our part, we've stood in solidarity just because we've brought our white selves to an African protest.
Oh, pause. How about the whole thing of, and we want you to have conversations with each other. I want white people to have these conversations with what the fuck?
Right, yeah. That's what it says at the end of the song, that white people need to be talking to each other. We need to be talking to each other about reparations. We need to be talking to each other about the history of white people, that we were poor when we lived in Europe. He talks about privilege. We didn't have any privilege when we were living in Europe, disease-ridden under feudalism.
Nasty. Didn't even know how to wash yourself. I had to teach you how to wash yourself.
We didn't bathe. We went entire lifetimes without bathing.
And y'all still don't wash yourselves. After I taught your ass how to wash yourself.
A lot of cases, this is true. And so we left Europe, we left those conditions, we attacked Africa, we enslaved African people, we killed the indigenous people of this land, and we built this whole nasty thing called America and white power at everybody else's expense. And I actually don't even like using the word privilege, because is it really a privilege? Is it a privilege to rape and kill and lynch and torture and murder and put African people in breeding pens and plantations and hang them from trees? Is that really a privilege? You do all of that, and then you get to sit in your comfortable home and you're going to call that a privilege? That's sick. I can't even call it a privilege.
You're trying to take events that happened in the 1800s and apply it to the standards of today, 2016, which doesn't work because 2016 is a far different time than the 1800s were. And while rape, murders, and lynching still occur, that's never going to go away. It's nowhere near as bad as it was back then. And the fact that you're trying to imply that this still happens on a wide scale, and that white people revel in raping, murdering, and lynching black people is just dumb. It's so dumb. In fact, it's so dumb that I could have Beavis and Butthead commentate on this video, and it wouldn't make a difference. It would still be dumb.
So I just want to say on this whole issue of showing up, because there are even whole organizations of white people that are about showing up for Black lives, showing up for justice, for, you know, against racial injustice and things of that sort. And I want white people to show up too, but I want white people to show up to meetings of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, where we do talk to white people and we strategize on how we can go back into the white community and unleash all the stolen wealth that's in our communities, unleash all the resources that we've stolen from African people for hundreds of years, under the leadership of Black Power, under the leadership of the African Liberation Movement, not doing our own little thing as charity or to make ourselves feel good or something like that. We work under the leadership of the party.
Solidarity, not charity.
That's what's...
This is by far the stupidest point in this entire video. You claim that you're doing this to be progressive, you claim you're doing this to combat racism and improve race relations, and because you want diversity and inclusion, yet that completely negates the fact that you've been racist towards an entire race of people simply because you believe you're owed something, simply because of actions that happened in the past. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, and you also claim that you're doing this because you really want to help people, right? You really want to help people. You know, it's solidarity, not charity. Yet you're making this long-winded 17-minute video for nothing more than to bring attention to yourself because you perceive Macklemore as being racist towards black people when he was not that at all. You know? So really, you don't give a shit about black people, and you certainly don't give a shit about anyone else. All you care about, Ghazi, is yourself. Let's be honest here. All you care about is yourself. Seriously, fuck this guy. Fuck him in the ass with a razor-bladed dragon penis up his slithery, slimy anus.
Solidarity means. We're part of the strategy of the African Revolution. And we do outreach tables. We go set up at the Saturday morning market where white people are out walking their dogs or going to get brunch, and suddenly they have a Burning Spear newspaper.
White people love dogs, love kissing them, love sleeping with them. Y'all nasty.
And while they're kissing their dogs, we tap on their shoulders and put a Burning Spear newspaper in their face. Good. That's our job as the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. So
you harass random people on the streets minding their own business so you can shove your racist, intolerant movement down their throats? Dear God, who would want to support your cause? Why am I even doing this anymore? I could have spent my Sunday afternoon doing something that was a far better use of my time, and instead I'm making a video on this racist piece of shit. The things I do for you guys for the sake of entertainment.
Show up to uhurusolidarity.org. If you're white and you want to take responsibility for your white privilege or white supremacy or whatever you want to call it, then participate in ending colonialism. Mm-hmm. Take responsibility for the fact that we're colonizers, we're oppressors, we're the lynch mob.
Yes.
And we have to take a stand to end that.
And you wouldn't have nothing if it wasn't for the colonialization of Africa. You wouldn't have nothing, Macklemore. Not just the rap songs you get to rap, not just the awards. Like, you wouldn't have nothing. You wouldn't even be on this country right here if it wasn't for the genocide of the Native Americans and the enslavement of African people. And this is the whole thing which upsets me about like the whole white supremacy and white privilege, is that it moves us away from and racism. All these things moves us away from building and fighting for power, fighting to reverse colonialism, fighting for decolonization, fighting back for our land and our resources. And whenever a white person wants to come and you know, promote that narrative, promote that white nationalist narrative that, you know, that it's all in our minds and we have to talk to each other and be better. We have to be better to them. You can't be better to me while you're driving in a fucking car with my materials in it. You can't be better to me while you're using a phone with my materials in it, while you have an iPad with my materials in it, and none of the resources from those stolen materials from Africa, is coming back to my people in an economic way so we can sustain our life. This is why Africans all over the world are poor, because white people, because crackers, because honkies do not want to understand that we live in a material world. I don't need you doing all of this. I don't need you making songs. I need you to materially do something, And
I don't know what's sadder, the fact that you think that the technology we rely on every day was unfairly stolen from Africans, or the fact that you don't seem to realize that the technology we rely on every day isn't actually made in Africa.
let me explain reparations, because a lot of motherfuckers out here, a lot of you cave beasts, a lot of you Mayo Saxons, a lot of you toilet seat complexion individuals, yo people, they have it really fucked up. You think reparations is for African people. You think reparations is for African people that, oh, black people just want their free money and da-da-da. Let me tell you something. Reparations is for white people. Reparations is our peaceful solution to white people. You don't want a bloody revolution? You don't want us killing you off and throwing you in the ocean and going mad and crazy? Then give us our shit back peacefully and we will be done with it. Reparations is for you, honky. Reparations is for you, cracker. Reparations is for you parasite.
So you're basically saying, attention, all white people, give us back what you unfairly stole from us, or we're gonna kill you, you dumb motherfuckers. That's essentially what you're saying here. That if white people don't give you some kind of an apology for something that happened way back in the 1800s, you're gonna kill them. You're gonna murder them. That's essentially what you're saying. Because that's a surefire way to get the apology you so crave, by threatening people. Oh wow, I mean, you're certainly the smartest cookie in the book. I can see why people support your cause.
Reparations is for you dirty fucking colonizer. It's for you. It's not for us. It's for you to be able to handle this peacefully. Because one way or the other, we gonna have a revolution. One way or the other, African people are gonna be free. So either you can do this peaceful treaty, aka reparations, or we gonna do it our way, revolution. Okay, either you can pay up with materials, just pay it with materials, go back where you came from, go back to the caves, and leave all indigenous people alone, or you pay up with blood and materials through revolution. You decide. You motherfucking decide. Talk about reparations for us. Reparations is for us. Anyways, this video is long, but it's good and it's detailed, and tell these male Saxons where they can go if they want to get on the right side of the question and fight for real. Not fighting for these, you know, you have crackers fighting for plants and fighting for dogs and fighting for animals. You motherfuckers will go out there and hug a tree while you step on the dead bodies of African people. You will try to clean up these oceans, but not try to give back the beaches to the rightful owners, African people. You will go to these safaris and try to free these animals, but not try to give the land back to the African people who, when they owned the land, the animals were just motherfucking fine. It's now that you own the land that the animals is going crazy and shit and dying off because you going on safaris and hiring poachers and all this kind of shit, that y'all not getting to the root of the question. The root of the question is African people. The oppression of African people. This entire parasitic capitalist situation in the world is built off of the enslavement of African people.
Are you ever going to talk about black on black crime? Because that's a pretty big problem. In fact, the leading killer of black people are other black people. But apparently, according to you, that's not an important enough issue to get outraged about. That's not something to raise the stink eye towards. No, when a black guy kills another black guy, oh, it's no big deal. That's just the way it is. Oh, but God forbid if a white guy kills a black guy, then all of a sudden, we have to get outraged. This is bullshit. Fuck these crackers. Fuck these honkies. They're everything that's wrong with society. I can't stand people like this and their whole selective outrage bullshit. If you don't know what selective outrage is, Pretty simply, it's people who choose to get outraged about things. Or, to be more specific, people choose what things to get outraged about. For example, this guy doesn't raise a stink about black-on-black crime, even though it's a ginormous problem. But when a white guy kills a few black guys, then all of a sudden it's a huge problem. Oh, God. Let's just continue.
If you are ready to get on the right side of the question, you non-melanated mutants, this is where you can go.
Uhuru. Well, I just want to say, Macklemore, we really don't need a white privilege 3. So please, if you've started writing that, throw your notepad away. We don't need it. If you're going to make another song, you need to call it White Reparations. White reparations to African people, and you need to donate. Not donate, turn it over.
Yes.
Return it. All the proceeds from that
Return to
next
sender.
record to African people, because that's what needs to happen. Reparations to African people. So
what does Macklemore owe you? Why exactly does he need to apologize to you and give reparations? Why? Because you solely exist? Let me tell you something. You aren't owed anything in this world. And I know that's a hard thing for you to hear. I know a privileged cunt like yourself would not want to hear that, but I'm sorry. It's the truth. You need a dose of reality. You aren't owed things because you simply exist. That's nonsense. And you aren't owed reparations simply because you exist. People should apologize to you out of their own free will, not because you demand them to, not because you believe that you are owed something. Oh God, you aren't just a racist piece of shit, and you aren't just a privileged cunt. You're a stuck-up cunt, and that's far worse.
no white privilege 3, white reparations to African people. And everyone else, all other white people, including Macklemore, go to uhurusolidarity.org and become a member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. You can become a sustainer where you make a monthly contribution to the programs of the African People's Socialist Party and get active, organizing the white community for white reparations to African people and solidarity with black power.
Uhuru.
Uhuru.
And that's what you call black power and white face. See, we have a lot of white power and black face out there. You used to seeing Stacey Dash and Raven Simone and who's that coon on CNN? What's his name? The black man. You know his name. Dang it. He gay. He like white men. He be in Manhattan. Leave in the comments. I know who I'm talking about. Anyways, you used to seeing them. Now you're going to start to get used to seeing black power and white face.
Uhuru.
Uhuru. Uhuru, y'all, check the melanin. You got to get out of here because now I'm checking melanin. You ain't got none. Sorry. Check the melanin. Uhuru.
Some people might think that Young Hero Rants is a show in which I just bitch about things that personally annoy me, and while that's very much true, this show also exists to expose people that are doing deplorable, despicable things. Because people like this deserve to be called out. People like this deserve to be exposed. Here's the thing, Ghazi. There's nothing progressive or revolutionary about what you're doing. What you're doing is essentially rebooting racism, rebooting segregation. You publicly promote and support the death of white people because you believe you're owed something, because you believe that white people stole from Africans, which is really not even true in the slightest. You know, you can't combat racism with more racism. And the fact that you're trying to use the perceived racism of black people as a catalyst to promote your hateful, intolerant, racist points of view is absolutely disgusting. And I hope the black community shuns you, dude. Because you make all of us as black people look like fools. You make us look like clowns. And I mean that sincerely. People like this and Black Lives Matter aren't actually concerned with black people. They aren't actually concerned with equality and diversity and inclusion. They only care about themselves. What they are doing is trying to incite a race war to bring attention to themselves. So Gazy, Kodo, and Black Lives Matter, they don't really give a shit about black people. They don't really care. It's all about them, and they'll do whatever it takes to make sure it's about them. And I haven't said this before, so now I think it's a perfect time to kind of address this. No, I don't support Black Lives Matter, and I just can't. I really can't, because when you look at the stuff that they've done, when you look at the things that they support and promote and the ideologies they're trying to push, I don't see how any sensible human being could support them. You know, I can't support a movement that promotes the killing of an entire group of people just because they don't like them. I can't support a movement that shuts down gay pride parades simply to make it about them. And I can't support a movement that wants safe spaces, that wants things owed to them, that wants things given to them simply because they're owed it, simply because they believe they're owed those things. You know, and I know that's a very controversial stance to take, and I know I'm probably going to get a lot of comments of people calling me a coon, but I don't care. This is just my honest opinion that I'm expressing here. And it's unfortunate because I know not everybody in Black Lives Matter are violent criminals that just want white people to die. I know that there are some people out there that are actually fighting for diversity and inclusion and actually want to improve race relations and combat racism. But the ones that want white people to die, the ones that are being violent, are such a vocal majority that it makes the entire movement look bad. And I, not only as a black person, but as just a human being in general, cannot support it. This video, if anything, proves that blacks can be just as racist. Black Lives Matter proves that blacks can be just as racist as anyone else. And I've experienced this personally. My uncle said to me once, and I'm not kidding, "Why do you hang out with all these white people?" And at the time, I brushed it off as just a silly, stupid little comment. But now that I look back on it, it was pretty racist. And you can't deny that it wasn't racist. It was really racist. You know, and look, while most of my friends are white, my best friend Eric is white, hell, even the love of my life is white, I don't view them as white. I view them as people. And I don't judge them based on the color of their skins, as I believe that's stupid. If you really want to combat racism, if you really want to combat intolerance, don't judge people based on the color of their skin. Don't judge people based on a bunch of preconceived notions. Judge them as people. That seems to be a simple thing to say, but apparently people just don't get it. You know, people are so concerned with, oh, white people are the worst thing to happen on planet Earth. They're the cause of everything that's wrong in this world, and they deserve to die because they're crackers, they're honkies. Fuck them. You know, no, fuck this mentality of, oh, all whites must die. You know, we're owed something because, you know, these people stole from us. No, you aren't owed anything in this world because you exist. If you want there to be change, if you want to be recognized, actually do something good. Actually do something of importance. Don't go and shut down gay pride parades. Don't publicly support and promote the death of white people. And don't make a big deal derailing things to make it about you, and then get mad when people don't want to support your cause. Not all people think alike. Not everybody's going to support your cause, and that's something that you have to learn to accept. You know, seriously, just fuck Black Lives Matter, fuck people like this, fuck anybody that has this kind of mentality, that thinks like this. Because they are the true shit stains in the world. They are everything they are one of the many things that are wrong about this world. And if I can express it and make people aware, then I'm doing my job right. And you can call me a coon all you want. You can call me an Uncle Tom and a race traitor all you want. But this is just my opinion that I'm expressing here. You know? And if you get mad, well, you get mad. I'm not going to dumb down my opinions. I'm not going to sugarcoat my point of view just to appeal to you special snowflakes that get offended by absolutely everything. I think we're done here. Okay, that was my Sunday rant. That's all I gotta say. This is ThatKidDouglas, aka the Unhero, signing out. Deuces, stay frosty and keep it weird. Cue an outro sequence now.